Hello everybody, Math 11 Quarter 1, Week 7 lesson plans. Let's go right into Math 11 Quarter 1, Week 7 lesson plans, PowerPoint edition, and MP4 editions of the lesson plans for Week 7, Math 11. Name, date here, students, to put your name on the lesson plan sheet. Let's go right into Math 11 Quarter 1 Week 7 lesson plans. So we start here with 2.8, analyze graphs of polynomial functions, classwork homework part 1, part 2. And then 2.9, chapter 2, polynomials, review summary, part 1, part 2, part 3. And then 2.9, Chapter 2, Polynomials, Homework Review Summary, Part 1, 2, and 3. So there's your assignments there. For Week 7, here are the standards. All the standards that we've done in Chapter 2 will be on the test, which is, first, we have a quiz here, 2.8 quiz, analyze graphs of polynomial functions. And then Algebra 2, Chapter 2 test, polynomial functions, Part 1. And then for intro here, it would be the Common Core 9 through 12, FIF.7, graph functions expressed symbolically and show key features of the graph by hand in simple cases, and using technology for more complicated cases. And then our learning targets here are graph linear, quadratic, and exponential functions. Identify and interpret key features, intercepts, intervals of increase, decrease, maxima, minima, and end behavior. And they compare different types of functions using graphs. And then resources and materials, animated PowerPoints and or MP4 versions of lessons, classwork, homework, quiz, test, worksheets, and then activities and tasks. All class worksheets are closed, exercised from PowerPoints or MP4s, homework, quizzes, and test assignments available online with corrections provided after submission dates. And then access for all, available in over 100 languages, available online 24/7, closed caption for hearing impaired, audio for sight impaired. And then our classwork for Week 7 is 122 points, note-taking 60 points, homework is 314 points, quiz is 72 points, test points are 159 points, and then the total for Week 7 is 727 points. Let's go right into Week 7, accommodations and modifications, available online via Google Classroom interface, that is grades, classwork, homework, quizzes, tests, Zoom tutoring on request. And we start out here with 2.8, analyze graphs of polynomial functions. And the classwork part 1 for that is 26 points, 12 points of note-taking. Part 1 of homework will be 84 points, 14 points of note-taking for 2.8 homework part 1. And then 2.8 Part 2 classwork is 20 points, 10 points of note-taking. Analyze graphs of polynomial functions. In the Common Core standard here is FIF.7, graph functions expressed symbolically and show key features of the graph by hand in simple cases, and using technology for more complicated cases. 2.8 Part 2 homework is 20 points, 10 points of note-taking for Part 2. And this would be the homework here for 2.8 Part 2 Here's your 2.8 quiz, 72 points for 2.8 quiz. Analyze graphs of polynomial functions. And then we go into the Chapter 2 summary. Classwork Part 1 is 36 points. Again, 10 points for note-taking. And Chapter 2 review and summary. Classwork Part 1 is 36 points. And then 10 points of note-taking for that. Then Part 2 classwork is 44 points for Chapter 2 summary, 18 points of note-taking. Then Part 3 classwork is 42 points of classwork for Part 3 for Chapter 2 summary. And then we go into homework for the Part 1 summary. Chapter 2 summary, there is homework, 77 points for Part 1, and we have 87 points for Part 2, Chapter 2 summary homework, and then Part 3, Chapter 2 summary homework is 36 points. And then finally for Week 7, we have the Chapter 2 test, 71 points. For Part 1, Chapter 2 test, and then Part 2, Chapter 2 test would be 88 points for Part 2 of the Chapter 2 test. Animated PowerPoint math video at AOL.com for questions, course materials. Thank you very much.